Well, the big story that we are tracking at the moment, a horrifying case has emerged from Bengaluru's Soladevanahalli area. A 22-year-old student from a reputed college was allegedly raped by her PG owner just 10 days after moving into that accommodation. The accused, identified as Ashraf, allegedly forced the victim into his car late Saturday night and drove her to a remote, isolated location where he sexually assaulted her. The young woman approached police the next morning and an FIR was immediately filed at the Soladevanahalli police station. Police say Ashraf was arrested within hours and is now in judicial custody. The survivor has undergone medical examination and forensic reports are awaited. The case has triggered massive outrage across the city with calls for stronger safeguards in PG accommodations and speedy justice. My colleague Gautam, in fact, joins us live on this. Gautam, a big question mark on PGs in Bengaluru. Several students come to Bengaluru to study and they get accommodations in PGs around educational institutions. It is a huge business in Bengaluru, but the big question, safety, is something that has not been addressed by authorities even now.
Yes, Varghese, the safety of PGs in Bangalore is once again under question now, where this man identified as Ashraf, who is actually a native of Kozhikode in Kerala. He has been arrested in Bangalore for allegedly raping a female college of a very prominent university in Bangalore. Now, she is also a student from Kerala, is what we're given to believe. The accused was actually running a paying guest accommodation where this particular student had moved in just 10 days earlier, Varghese, and this incident reportedly took place at around midnight on Friday. And according to the survivor here, Ashraf, the PG owner, arrived there at the PG late at night and he threatened the student and he said she would only get food and stay if she cooperated. This was the kind of threats that were made by Ashraf. And when she refused, he allegedly dragged her and also raped her. And he took her into a car in his car to another location and repeatedly raped her and brought her back to the PG between 1:30 and 2:15 is what we're given to understand. And the survivor attempted to actually share her location with a friend, but this attempt did not actually go through. And then she approached the police the next morning and filed a formal complaint. Now, following the affair, this man has been arrested. But the more graver concern, like you pointed out, Varghese, is how women feel unsafe in PG accommodations, because there have been multiple cases that have come to light over the last few months in this year itself. And these crimes by PG owners or staff have become an incident that is recurring quite frequently in the city. And this is something that needs to be addressed very urgently, because keep in mind that there are still a lot of unregulated PGs in the city. There are at least around 20,000 PGs is what we are given to believe, but majority of them are not really licensed. And this is one of the reasons such incidents are taking place, where these people like Ashraf are able to take advantage of women and carry out such crimes. So there needs to be a policy reform that needs to come into place, and also you need to ensure that women feel safe in the PGs, because millions and millions of them come to the city every day looking to build their
But
careers or even to study.
But Gautam, this is not only about the violations that we see when it comes to the security code. Even building violations take place. You have several of these buildings that, were erstwhile homes. They just demolish the buildings, the partition walls, and they construct new partition walls to make it into a one-room setup. There are more than 3 to 4 people in a very small room, and the kind of rents that have been taken from these PGs is also huge. There seems to be a complete failure on the part of authorities to crack down on such PGs. In fact, the building becomes so unsafe because the sanction plan is something, and then you have the changes made by the owner to make it into a PG, and that does not get reflected in the sanction plan, and the building's capacity is again affected because of this. This is also a major concern, that the building itself could be unsafe because of the random demolitions and constructions that are taking place as well. Security is the foremost, but again, a lot of red flags that have been put in place because of such unwanted way of carrying the construction work is also something that the authorities have turned a blind eye to.
Absolutely, Burgies. Red flags galore in Bangalore because keep in mind, if you just have to go by statistics alone, there are around 20,000 PGs catering to around 17 lakh men and young men and women in the city. And about just 1,800 odd of them are BBMP licensed. That is basically that they have got a license from the city's municipal corporation. The rest of them, almost 18,000 PGs, are just functioning willy-nilly without any sort of license itself. And this leads to a sort of oversight, and there are no regular inspections that take place. And multiple such PGs have reported intrusions by these landlords and privacy violations as well, because, like you rightly pointed out, they convert their residences into PG accommodations by just making a partition, or maybe if they have a multi-story building, they just convert a couple of floors into a PG accommodation, and with no sort of regulatory body looking into these kind of violations, it is leading to this harassment and even stalking in many cases when these women actually step out of their PGs and when they are around the college neighborhoods. They have been stalked by these predators as well. So these women definitely feel unsafe in PG accommodations, and like I said, we really need to have a proper response team and also to ensure that women feel safe. The first step needs to be to ensure that these PGs come under the BBMP license, and the owners are really their backgrounds are checked into and make sure the women feel safe, Burgies.
Well, also, Gautam, now with this particular case against this issue about safety is being put forward, there have been instances where people have been just getting into PGs. PGs meant only for women, getting into crimes inside those PGs. The question about CCTV being provided was also put into place. Like there was a drive to install CCTVs, but regular inspections of such PGs have not been carried out, despite earlier cases and the government making knee-jerk reaction saying they will in fact ensure that this doesn't happen again. There seems to be a lack of comprehensive guidelines when it comes to PG accommodations in Bengaluru. One with regard to safety, one with regard to buildings, food that is being provided as well, and educational institutions that need to in fact ensure that the right kind of PGs are being allotted to the students, because most of these PGs are within just 2 to 3 kilometers within that educational institution. So some kind of approval should be given from the educational institutions also when it comes to such PGs.
Absolutely, Burgies. Now, one thing that comes to mind from what you said is that after a murder of a woman took place at a PG in Pormangla last year, actually, there were regulations that were sort of introduced for the PGs to follow, but these were just guidelines that were handed out, and there is no follow-up that is happening. There is no sort of law enforcement agency or a regulatory body from the civic body itself that is going up and checking if the regulations that are being provided are actually being followed, because several or actually majority of the PGs in Bangalore Burgies actually lack CCTV, or even if they are there, they are dysfunctional. And this was actually observed in Kormangla as well, where several of the CCTV cameras they are actually dysfunctional, and intruders are easily able to enter locked buildings, use master keys, or pretend to be residents or even delivery agents, and they're able to get these unauthorized entries, and no one seems to be doing anything about them. And the other issue that you pointed out as well, a lot of these PGs are actually present around in and around college areas, and these women are actually followed to the PGs, to the colleges as well. So there's definitely a need for from the police as well to ensure that the women feel safe in the city as well. And the sort of neighborhoods harassment and stalking is another major issue. And with this particular case as well, with where we saw this woman actually being threatened with eviction, that is another ploy that several of these PG owners use against these residents, saying that they are threatened with eviction, and because the setups are very informal, these tenants, because of fear, they are unable to raise alarms after several incidents as well. But kudos to this survivor. She has come forward, filed a formal complaint, and Ashraf has been arrested. And it should serve as an example and a real eye opener to regulatory bodies in BBMP and also the police to really wake up and ensure that such incidents do not repeat in the city of Bangalore. Worgis.
Right, right. Right, Gautam, thank you for in fact joining us with all those details.